It's a moral question. Do we allow all the subordinate minority groups to run their own system, their own legal system, separate from our system, or do we require people in this country to have a common set of laws?
Define legal system. Define legal system. What do you mean by legal system?
By which I mean...
what speed you can drive on the road?
All the laws.
Okay, well, Islam doesn't say that anyway. And that's not what he's saying. So, the Sharia, for example, is about religious practices, laws, and a way of life that you must lead for Muslims. So, for example, I'm in England. In England, alcohol is allowed. As a Muslim, I'm not permitted to start demonstrating outside a pub and saying, shut this down because this is forbidden. No, you're not permitted. You're not permitted. By Islam. Islam does not allow you. Islam does not permit you or allow you to impose your religion on somebody else. You see, the reason why you're a little bit mixed up, Greg, is because you do see some... No, hold on a second. No, please, listen. Greg, the reason why you have these notions is because you see the bad example of some Muslims. Hold on a second. Well, maybe a lot. Let's say a small minority of them, right? Who not only do you stand against, but we also stand against those people.
Well, I think this is
we don't accept what they say.
The Pew organisation.
Yes, I have heard of them.
You're aware of the polls, of the research they do when they go to places like Turkey and North Africa and the Arab countries and ask the population what their views about homosexuality and so on and so forth, and apostasy and so on. Are you aware how, by the standards that you would espouse, that most Muslims are moderate? I don't believe that these are moderate Muslims. I believe, I can't quote you the exact numbers, but things like 70% of people in some countries believe that apostates should be killed. They say that. No, that's not moderate by my view. So I'm saying hold on a second. I don't believe in the view that only a small percentage of Muslims are immoderate. I think most Muslims are immoderate.
But your contention was not about Muslims. No.
Contention here is about
exactly. Your contention is about Islam. If you show me the bad example, if it was 100% in the hold on a second. No, listen to me. If it was 100% in a country that said something, for me, I don't look at them to guide me as to how I should be a Muslim.
So what's your guide?
My guide is the Quran and the Hadith, the example of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him.
Fine. Well, can I
now, hold on a second.
That's a very good point.
No, listen. You raised homosexuality. Well, you said 70% of. You said the Pew report, 70% of homosexuality, whatever you said. Right. Now, within Islam, I'm not permitted to accuse you of homosexuality. Even if you've got a handbag and you like to wear lipstick, I can't accuse you of being a homosexual. I can't spy on you to check on you who you're going with in your house. Hold on a second. Hold on. Let me just finish, please. So the reality is.
You didn't just say that, did you?
No, but the reality is.
ISIS is the poster child.
Greg.
They go back to the Quran.
Greg. Let me just finish my point, please. Let me just finish my point. So the government is not permitted to ask you, hey, are you a homosexual? Why you got that handbag? Why do you like wearing lipstick? Not allowed. If you go and share a room in a hotel with another man, right? Nobody has the right. In fact, I did. I went to Kenya with my best friend and we shared a hotel room. Separate beds, right? And the whole hotel, listen, and all the English tourists who were there at the time, they all thought we were homosexual, right? Because for me it wasn't unusual. It wasn't unusual because within Islam, within Islam, it's completely permitted. So right now, so the state does now. When you raise a point that ISIS are throwing people off the roof because of being suspicious of their homosexuality or whatever, the scholars could prove to you categorically from the text that this is murder. that killing that man in that way is murder, and those people who threw him off the roof under Islamic law actually would be tried and executed.
Okay.
Now, so please don't. Greg. No, but listen. Greg. Let's not move on to another point.
No, I'm not. That's all the same point.
No.
I'm making the point that ISIS points to the Quran.
Let's not move to another point. Greg. Let's not. Greg.
Now we can debate whether that's true.
Hold on a second. But Greg, hold on a second. Let's stick to that point. Right?
You raise your eyebrows.
So my point is
ISIS. I'm simply saying ISIS is the embodiment of blinkered views that look at a holy text and say that holy text permits me to behave in what other people around the world, even moderate Muslims, claim is a civilized, uncivilized, and barbaric
Greg, you start losing the argument if you listen to me. You really start losing the argument, Greg. No, but Greg, you really start losing the argument if you're going to point to ISIS as somehow representatives of the faith of Islam. There's a sheikh, for example.
Listen, what they're doing wrong there. When they look at the Quran, look at the Quran.
I try to give you academic research.
Did Muhammad allow the taking of sex slaves?
No.
Somebody can commit a mass genocide and say it's in the name of Islam.
No.
Somebody can commit a mass genocide and say it's in the name of Islam.
Look.
And say it's to do with
I've been told by
we know this.
And
Greg.
same as somebody doing that in the name of Islam. It's basically misinterpretation.
Greg, there is a scholar. There's a scholar by the name of Sheikh Yaqubi. He's got a book on Amazon called Refuting ISIS. He's got a book called Refuting ISIS. He was the head scholar in Damascus, I believe, in Syria. ISIS now obviously want him dead as well, right? No. Let me just finish my point, please. No, but Greg, let me finish my point. Greg, let me finish my point.
Tell me to explain to me why what you're doing is wrong.
Greg, let me finish my point. The point here is that he's a respected scholar who's given references from the Quran, from the example of the Prophet, as to why these people are an abomination and a corruption, a manipulation and a fabrication to the faith of Islam. So what you've got to appreciate is...
al-Baghdadi doesn't think that's true. He claims that he's the descendant of the Caliph.
How do you know what he claims?
Because he goes and makes a speech in Mosul where he says what he claims.
No. When did he make a speech? Sorry, remind me.
2 or 3 years.
But why does that matter, Greg?
And who reports that speech and all this?
It makes Greg and people like...
Don't you understand, Greg? Look at the sources of what you're hearing.
You're saying ISIS doesn't throw people off rooftops.
I'm saying... Okay,
do you say they don't behead people?
Understand one thing.
Are you saying that they don't take sex slaves and trade sex slaves?
Understand one thing.
They do all of those things. We have them on film.
Understand one thing. The films you've seen were, especially the women in the cages, it's a complete fabrication. It's bright bad nonsense. I'll tell you why it is. I don't think we go down.
I can't believe our eyes anymore. They're all fabrication.
Let me explain one thing. As Muslims, if we hear information of something going on in the world, we have to verify it.
I'm not skeptical about what I see on film.
Hey, listen.
Sorry, go ahead.
Say that again.
I'm not skeptical about what I see on film.
So you're easy to be deceived. Exactly. My God. Have you not gone on YouTube and seen all the fake stuff?
No, but that's another point.
No. The point is this. We as Muslims have to verify information. Yeah. If we can't verify it, we can't accept or reject. We don't know what's going on.
Okay. Well, verify the existence of the angel Gabriel.
What?
Give me any evidence of the existence of Gabriel. You say in Islam we must have evidence. I'm simply saying the whole concept of religion is to believe things that are unprovable.
Greg.
To believe things that there's no evidence. There's no evidence that Gabriel exists.
Greg, this is the classic discussion where one person starts shotgunning. Right? So you basically raise so many points before I even have a chance. No, but listen, but Greg, before Imran has a chance to answer, or I have a chance to answer, or Hamza has a chance, even that small point, you switch to from homosexuals being
explain,
because you're now saying that you're saying that what we see in the press today about ISIS is fabrication.
No, what I'm saying, you say that.
You're saying the women in cages, you said fabrication.
No. Okay, the women in the cages was a protest done about women's rights in a certain country. Yeah, I've seen pictures of bodies burned, right, saying ISIS burned all these bodies, for example. Yeah, and it was a Congo explosion. All right, it's lies, mate. Yeah, it's called fake news.
Some of it might be true, some of it might be lies.
No, what you're
that's the reality.
You're sucking up fake news that suits your agenda or suits your worldview. And you're regurgitating it. And we as Muslims are not taking it.
So you're saying it's fake news?
No, what I'm saying to you, do you accept fake news?
Women were killed, burned to death.
One second. Do you accept fake news? Do you accept fake news?
There is such a thing as fake news.
Right. How do you verify what's fake and what's not?
You have to use your own analysis.
And how would you do that? How would you do that? How would you do that?
By analysing all of the
what are you analysing?
Details.
What are you analysing?
The whole point is...
Well, you use your intellect.
No, you seem to know what's going on the ground in Syria. So how would you verify what's fake and what's not?
Hamza, the more important point.
If I see something like that, I will immediately, my initial response is to accept that it's true.
Yeah. So, and if it's fake, how would you know?
The fact that some fake news exists doesn't mean my immediate response to every piece of news should be that.
No, but how would you determine what's fake and what's not?
Well, you analyse the situation to try to understand what is likely to be true and what is not.
Right, so what I would do is in fake news scenario, in this scenario, I say, who's telling me this information?
So when you say it is fake news, where's your evidence coming from?
No, I would say, who's telling? No, what did I say to you as a Muslim? I can't accept evidence I can't verify. I can't verify. I just stay out of it.
But I think also, Greg, there's an important point here. There's an important point here, and the important point here is I don't even need to analyse whether it's true, it's not true.
Okay, you're saying
you know why? No, because
they say they are.
No, but look, people say all sorts of things within secularism, within atheism, within Christianity, within Judaism, within Islam, within Hinduism, within Buddhism in Myanmar, where they're killing Muslims.
Yes, they are.
Right. Now, do we, as rational human beings, say that just because somebody says so, it is so?
No.
That's not logical, right?
Correct. That's
so
why I don't believe Muhammad represents God.
all I'm saying to you, don't shotgun. All I'm saying to you,
I agree with you.
Greg,
we don't accept
all I'm saying to you is this. All I'm saying to you is this: that if you find that ISIS are saying that we're doing this, and this, and this, because this verse in the Quran explicitly says, look, chuck the homosexual off the roof. You've got a point. You have a very concrete point.
But there is
right? But if that doesn't exist,
so you don't have a point. There is no point.
But if that doesn't exist, and if they're doing something, hold on a second.
That talks about throwing homosexuals.
Absolutely not.
Not in the Hadith.
Absolutely not.
Really?
Absolutely not.
Really?
Absolutely not. Well, absolutely not.
Some fake news, shall we?
Well,
I'll give you an example. The word homosexual, when did it come about?
I have no idea.
So how are you going to find it? So it's a recent 1840s.
Now, what's your... well, let me guess what your source of information is going to be. Wiki Islam.
Answering Islam.
Answering Islam. Jihad Watch. What's the other one?
They're all the same. Atlas Shrugs, whatever.
Atlas Shrugs. I hadn't heard that for ages, actually, Atlas Shrugs. Gates of Vienna. There's 6 there. So let's see which one it is.
All those sites. Don't worry. I look every day at originalpeace.com, which shows...
that's another one.
It's a classic one because it has so many evidence, so much evidence.
There's no evidence. It's all refuted. All refuted, mate.
Sorry? It's all refuted by whom?
Going back to the history of
challenging each claim by one.
You see, look, Greg, I find these conversations rather alarming, really, because no. Listen, alarming in the sense that if it's somebody who's fairly ignorant and unread and uneducated, I expect nothing different. But from a man like you, who's clearly read, is educated, and you still have such a predisposition for hate, and such a bigoted view,
well, you can see why.
Based upon.
These are quotes from the Quran. Okay?
Based upon
our context, mate. Chopped and bits.
That's the old argument. We look at the Quran, but we can't look at the Quran because there's always either
Are you saying that there's nothing in these sites that are taken out of context? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not saying that.
Right. So
I'm simply saying that if I look at some evidence, if you say you can find no evidence, and if I find evidence, you'll say it's out of context. Or the favourite response is,
out of context,
it's mistranslated. Arabic is a very broad language, and we can't translate it.
All right. But what if you're quoting something? But what if you're quoting something?
Let me give you an example. Let me give you an example in simple words, in simple terms. If I relate a story to you, Gregg came into the bar, and Abbas lifted up his gun quickly and shot him and killed him. Right? I've relayed a story to you. Gregg came into the bar. Abbas quickly picked up his gun and shot Gregg and killed him. What has just taken place?
It's a riddle and I can't solve.
Murder? It's murder, right? Murder. Now, if the context of the story was Gregg came in with a shotgun to kill Abbas, and Abbas picked up his gun quickly and shot Gregg and killed him, it becomes self-defense. The same story, Gregg, but the context completely changes the entire meaning. Now, are there some Muslims who look at verses like that and without knowledge and without context, and because they already hate the West and they hate all the other Muslims who they see us as sellouts, and then they use those verses to do horrible things? Yes, there are. But is that the fault of the religion, or is that the fault of that individual? And that's what I need you to ponder on a little bit, Gregg, because all you're doing is you're making these links. You're making these links, you're implying things, you're ignoring a lot of things to build your case. And I don't believe that's a very genuine and honest way of having a discussion.
The people that you're agreeing with in terms of what these verses mean are that very tiny minority who are
the messenger of Allah.
Exactly.
So you're
exactly.
The messenger of Allah, peace be upon him, said, whoever you find doing the action of the people of loot, homosexuality, lot,
rape as well,
execute the one who does it and the one to whom it is done.
Right.
Yes.
This is a hadith.
Okay, what does that mean?
It means that if you find people who are actively homosexual,
sodomy, they're doing sodomy in public.
It's talking about
in public.
Yes.
What does that mean?
Okay, what that means is that within the hudud punishment, for example, has an incredibly high standard of evidence. Incredibly high. To the extent, I'll give you a quick example about theft and then I'll go back to the homosexuality. So if Imran, for example, goes into a shop and I see him as a security guard taking an apple and putting it in his pocket and walking out, under Islamic law that would be theft. And if you're caught 3 times stealing a certain amount, not an apple, you're talking about, it's about £180, £200 worth of theft in one event. Once that's done 3 times, the punishment is to take off one hand. Now, however, the hudud punishment are so unbelievably difficult that if Imran said that no, I went into that shop and I'd lent him some money and because he didn't pay me back, that's why I took from him, there's enough doubt now that you can't do the hudud punishment. With things like homosexuality, the sodomy between a man and a man or a man and a woman is haram in Islam. That particular act.
You can call sodomy between a man and a woman, it's still called sodomy, is it?
Yes. It's haram, it's forbidden. Okay?
Any sexual activity between unmarried people is sodomy. Even if you're married, you are not permitted. There's the Prophet ﷺ said in a very elaborate, very discreet way, do not approach this area, do not approach this, because it's regarded as immoral and wrong. It's regarded as something that is harmful to the human body, to humans. So the hudud punishment for conducting sodomy, if you were to do it in private, and supposing you went to the doctor and you gained some conditions as a consequence of sodomy, even that is not enough to convict somebody of committing a sodomy.
Just to clarify my point.
Do you understand my point? If you now did it in public and there were 4 witnesses that saw the actual act of penetration, then there would be a case. Even that's not conclusive.
Can I ask you
that would hold on. Let me just finish.
Okay, I hear what you're saying.
So
why do you distinguish between the 2 cases? Why does Islam distinguish between
what 2 cases? Sorry.
Between sodomy in private and sodomy in public.
Because that's a very good question. Because for society, the freedoms of the individual do not supersede the stability and the freedoms of society as a whole. So your freedoms are your freedoms. You can do whatever you want to do, wherever you wish to do it, as long as it is not in the public arena. And now you force. Hold on a second.
Proof of homosexuality in private.
No, I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
You can't receive the punishment.
I didn't say that. The hudud punishment. So the hudud punishment cannot be instructed on doubts or upon suspicion religion or upon even medical.
Yeah. One point. So the Sharia applies only in the public sphere. It doesn't apply in the private sphere.
Right.
So if you are in your home, with a man, with a woman, with an animal, whatever you're doing, no one is allowed to go into your home and see you do that, or try and inspire you to do that. And then when they do find out, it's then punishing for that. It's not allowed.
If a young beautiful lady walked out of your hotel room at 4 in the morning, right? Stop smiling, right? Right? That would not be enough. That would not be enough to conduct a hadud punishment. There might be some other punishment. There might be some.
Okay, can I generalise the discussion a little bit? Because my friend here, I just wanted to get back to one point you made before. The point you made, which I think is a larger point, about religion in general, but we've been talking specifically about Islam. You said, what is my moral compass? And in the absence of a moral compass from an external source, we will behave badly. And I'm saying to you, I have more faith in humanity than you do, because I believe that we, as a consequence of our intellects, as being the most intelligent animal that's ever existed on the earth, we are able to analyse that we live in societies. We live in societies which are cooperative, and as a consequence of that, we've formulated laws of behaviour to regulate the interaction between ourselves. And those things which come by consensus of a majority, social consensus, which evolves over time, that has little hiccups occasionally, but over time I believe we are approaching a better standard of behaviour as a consequence of our own processes of analysis, rather than believing that a holy text from the Creator tells us how to behave.
Okay. Before you deal with that point, you've made some assumptions there. Now, your assumptions are that this sense of morality is something organic, created with the absence of the Creator or the influence of the Creator. That's an assumption.
Yes.
And in fact, the assumption is wrong, because when we look, Judaism, Christianity, Islam, the values of be kind to your neighbor, be just, be fair, do not steal, do not murder. These are things that through thousands of years have woven into society and how society thinks. However, you could argue the point that today somebody who had no religion could be very moral in their
You challenged me to say, where's my moral compass?
But Greg, that can happen. But to argue that somehow is inherently organic within just your conception and understanding and has nothing to do with your father, your grandfather, your great-grandfather, etc., 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 is, I think, a little bit unfair, because you know and I know that through societal pressures, educational level, even genes passed on, all of these things have an influence on how we are, right? Now, Hamza's point now is that if you rely solely on social consensus, Hamza's going to make a point about where that can take you.
Yeah, so all I was saying basically is if you rely for your guidance in life on your social consensus, then like I said, you open yourself up to alcohol abuse potentially, you open yourself up to gambling addiction potentially, you open yourself to get yourself into debt, borrowing money through the credit.
Well, I always find this banning usury a bit strange. I'm an ex-banker myself.
Yeah, well, I can accept that. But I think we can agree that Africa's in the problems it's in because of usury. I think we can both agree with that.
No,
really?
Let's not
anyway, okay. So if you want to leave usury, it's entirely up to you. But what I'm saying to you is, for me, looking as a Western Englishman, this is my country, all right, and I look to the people who are supposed to guide me as my politicians, as the government, through and whatever they think permeates through society and then becomes normal. So, for example, 50 years ago, homosexuality wasn't allowed, sodomy amongst husband and wife was illegal.
And we're moving forward. We've gone beyond.
So what happens when the government make a law? It permeates through society. It then comes through media channels, music, through TV and such, and then the people accept it. Yeah, this is the standard. So basically, using your moral anchor, you're at the mercy of man and his whims. Yeah, basically. So, for example,
yes, because these laws apply to man.
Right. The problem with man is he's weak, and he likes to satisfy his ego. goes, and he fulfills his whims and desires with permission. So if you're a man who follows the law of the land, you can follow your whims and desires within the law. If you're a criminal, a paedophile, a rapist, a murderer, you can do things that satisfy you that are outside the realms of law. Okay, so let's just deal with the person within the realms of law. So we'll stay within the realms of the law that's permitted by law, by guidance, by the moral anchor of society. So you're free to be homosexual, get married, whatever. You're free to drink alcohol as you please, gamble as you please, just don't drive while you're okay, all of these things. Now for me, that's a poison permitted within society by the people who are there to protect you, because laws are supposed to protect society from the individual and individual from society. That's what they're designed for. So I see a failure there straight away, because I'm seeing poisons being permitted within society, and not just permitted, encouraged, absolutely. Yeah, encouraged. Drinking went to 24-hour drinking. Gambling now is on your smartphone and you can gamble like that. Yeah, it's being encouraged. So I'm watching these Wonga loans. This is what I was talking about, the interest, the Wonga loans, the paydays. People are taking payday loans
just to pay the bills.
No, and to gamble.
And to gamble.
And to gamble.
They're weak and they shouldn't be doing it.
But
should there be a law against it?
No. But I live in this country also, and these things are all there for me also.
So you're saying you want more laws?
No,
you want more things to be forbidden?
No. I'm not saying that. I'm saying my moral anchor is what I believe as a Muslim. Yeah. So by being a Muslim, I protect myself from those 5 poisons I just mentioned. Yeah, I'm protected from them. Yeah. Now, for me, a society that indulges in those poisons and a society that doesn't indulge in those poisons, yeah, is clearly going to survive. Yeah. Your society, as it look, for example, the NHS is collapsing on the weight of just A&E, alcohol, all this business. Yeah. You know, the people getting diseases through alcohol. You know, my man's a doctor.
Sure.
All of these things, yeah, it's collapsing. Sexual morality now has gone out the window now. Yeah. So what Islam encourages is marriage, children, work hard, take care of the parents in their old age, and all of these things. The moral compass that anchor you're holding on to is parents putting them in old people's home when they're no benefit to you anymore. This is generally how society works. Yeah. Drink as you like, just don't.
No, look. If you're asking me to say that the West has a lot of flaws,
no, but what I want to say is this: how can you?
We have a lot of flaws.
No, but here's my point about the moral anchor now. How can you? No. But here's the point. You see, we have a standard that we adhere to. Now, your moral anchor is your moral anchor, isn't it? If he's not a Muslim, for example, yeah, his moral anchor may be different to yours.
But also, Greg, it's not about East or West. I'm a Westerner now. I was born here. My children are second generation.
No, but I'm an Englishman.
What I'm trying to say to you is, this is not about East or West. This is just about. Look, and also, Greg. But also, Greg, your point about social consensus. Now, in Nazi Germany, social consensus was that Jews, the filthy, dirty Jews, should be wiped off the face of this earth.
That was not the social consensus.
Listen,
you're wrong. That's historically inaccurate. The Nazi Party did not represent the majority of Germans.
So you're saying that most of Germans
didn't even know the Jews are being exterminated.
So the ones that did know, certainly the ones that they were clearly either explicit or silent about the matter, weren't they?
These things were deliberately hidden. You read the history. You read the history of what happened in 1942.
Rwanda.
The final solution was hidden by the Nazis.
Rwanda. The Hutsi and the Tutu.
What was the social consensus on the Aborigines in Australia?
Exactly.
That they were subhuman.
Right.
So that was the social consensus.
That was wrong. That was totally wrong.
America.
So
Red Indians. Red Indians in America.
So now you agree that man gets it wrong, isn't it? So you agree now that man gets it wrong, isn't it?
Yes, I'm not saying we never get it wrong, but I'm saying it's a more reliable guide. I'm saying that we
it's not more reliable. It's not because you
society changes.
No. It's not more reliable because you eliminated a whole people.
Look, the Americans deified Thomas Jefferson.
Listen.
Thomas Jefferson slept with slave girls and had slaves, right? By today's standards, we would say he's an abomination. But we're judging him by the 21st century standards of morality.
The values that you're adhering to, the social consensus, allowed the Aborigines to be wiped out, allowed the Red Indians of America, the Native Americans to be wiped out, and the conquistadors destroyed it as Incas and Aztecs.
I'm not saying it was a positive thing.
And slavery of Africans.
Yes,
are you saying we've never...
Tens of millions.
You're saying we never get it wrong.
No, what I'm saying is...
I'm not saying we never get it wrong.
We know you get it wrong because your social consensus allows alcohol, gambling and all of these things.
I'm simply saying we improve over time.
We know you're deteriorating.
We're not. That's the world is better. Would you like to go back and live 200 years ago? Would you prefer to live 200 years ago?
Here's the problem. You think civilization is laptops. That's what you think. See, for us, civilization is justice within the. That's what we believe.
Really?
Yeah, justice within the society. Yes.
Greg, you have a situation even in our own country, Greg.
I think morally,
Greg,
as a society,
laptops and mobile phones is not civilization. Just so you understand that.
I do understand that. Of course I understand.
Right. So what we're talking about the morality.
We live in a society today in which not only do we have the splendors of science, doctors healing diseases and so on, we also, I think, morally are superior to what we were 200 years ago. For example, slavery, 200 years ago, slavery was accepted, right? And it was William Wilberforce, the Englishman, who was the first of the Western people.
What's your moral angle? What are you defining moral by? I don't get it.
I'm simply saying we evolve our own morality
but also, Hamza,
by our own social
Greg,
conditioning.
there's another point here as well.
As we get more and more educated, we get better at this.
Greg.
We're not perfect, we get better.
You do know paedophiles today are trying to use the same argument as homosexuals, isn't it? They're born that way. They're born loving children. They can't help it. You do know that, don't you?
But that doesn't make it right. Why do we frown upon paedophilia? Why do we frown upon paedophilia? Why do we ban paedophilia? Because we want to protect children from pedophiles.
But Greg, there's an important point you're missing here.
That's the difference between, say, pedophilia and homosexuality. I don't want to ban homosexuality.
Greg,
because I don't care if two guys want to fuck in private. What I do care about is protecting children from
but you missed the
men.
point. You missed the point. You missed the point.
I'm not missing any point.
I'll tell you why.
Would you stop lecturing me that I'm missing points?
Well, you are.
What point am I missing?
All right. The point you're missing is the reason how homosexuality is pushed their way through. They said this is how they're natural. They're born this way. They can't help loving men, for example. Yeah.
I don't think it's natural myself.
You don't.
But I don't think we should ban it.
So you don't think it's natural?
Because it's a victimless crime.
You don't think people are born gay?
If two men want to have sex with each other, why do we care?
But do you believe people are born gay?
You say Islam doesn't care.
No, do you believe
Islam doesn't care unless they're caught?
Greg,
you won't punish them unless they're caught.
Do you believe they're born that way?
No, but that's not important.
I do believe that maybe they are born. I don't know.
Right. But what I'm saying is the argument used is now being pushed by paedophiles.
That doesn't make it right.
Well, no, but what we see is exactly.
That's my point. The difference is homosexuality is a victimless crime. I'm distinguishing between homosexuality and pedophilia.
Yeah.
Homosexuality should not be banned.
What happens in 50 years?
Are there any red lines in your moral anchors?
Is this what I'm saying to you?
The red line is about, against our intellect, we're saying which of those two so-called abominations has more damage to society. How do two homosexuals damage society if they have sex in private?
Okay, I'll tell you.
How does a pedophile damage society by
what you just said is beautiful. What you just said is beautiful. I mean, I have no problem with people doing what they do. It's their business. But when my children in school now are learning this is an option for them, that's damage now. When my children are reading children's storybooks that have Mr. and Mr. Brown in it,
if it was an option for your children, it's not forced upon them.
No. But the problem is
you're saying if we don't ban it, it becomes an option for your children.
No. What I'm saying is you're normalising it.
We're not normalising. Nobody's saying it's normal.
So when you read a children's book and it says Mr. and Mr. Brown,
I don't think it's normal.
Also, Greg, I think
when the Disney movies come and the prince wants to marry the prince, but he's been forced to marry a princess against his will and all of this business, yeah, them all.
Okay, I would agree with you on that.
Now, if you follow the Islamic model, if someone is born this way, just for example, if someone is born this way, and this is the only way they can satisfy their gratification, it's the only way they can do it, Islam permits.
Sorry?
Islam, in their own home, do what you like.
So does Islam frown upon it or not?
No. Look, we know as Muslims, as what Allah says, that this is not a natural thing, all right? But if two people feel they need to do this, do it in private.
Fine. We're in agreement.
Right.
We're in agreement.
So the Islamic model is that. But the social model that we're following right now is saying, no, come out, tell everyone, teach my children it.
We're not encouraging homosexuality. We're not making it.
But Hamza, let me just deal with Greg's point. Greg, you said that we are now more moral than we were 200 years ago, right? If you look at morality or throughout history, we get these spikes and we get these troughs.
Yes, we do, but it's asymptotic.
No.
We're getting better.
Okay, you're saying each generation is getting better, right? From your argument. Okay.
I'll speak for the West. I won't speak
50 years ago, 70 years ago, we fought a war against a tyrant, Hitler, who was trying to basically kill Jews, kill Gypsies, kill everyone off. And I would suggest that it was a very noble war. Yes, it was a noble action. And as I explained to you, some estimates go up to 2.5 million Indians fought. Some 5 times the number of deaths occurred through direct fighting. Now we can verify those figures if you wish. And many tens of millions of Indians actually lost their lives through famine and what have you because of the war effort, which is not mentioned in history. That's another topic. Another topic for another day, right? But the issue is, after that had many wars that actually are reprehensible. And most people actually today realize that what we've done in the Middle East, you know, Iraq, up to 1 million civilians, the families like you and me, Greg, wiped off. Water purification plants, desalination plants, electricity, hospitals destroyed. I spoke to a Libyan just yesterday, a student. I said, how are things in Libya now? And he said, brother, to be honest, it's this total and utter destruction. They have destroyed our nation. You have got millions. But listen, you've got Gaddafi in there.
Who has destroyed his
listen to me. Are you honestly saying that the West had nothing to do with the destruction of Gaddafi?
We got rid of Gaddafi.
Who dropped bombs on Libya?
We got rid of Gaddafi. We got. Hold on a second. We got rid of Gaddafi. There you go. Right? But listen.
We haven't been dropping bombs on Libya.
Greg,
Libya's falling into chaos because of the Libyans, not because of us.
Greg, my point here is this: your claim that we are now making a more refined sense of moral action and moral code as we are progressing is actually absolutely 100% wrong.
No.
I'll give you an example of that.
200 years. Napoleon invaded many.
Why only 200 years?
Because you're saying.
Why only 200 years?
You're saying in the last 50 years we haven't been making a progression. But we're going backwards. I'm saying no, but you're not reading history. Because if I go back to 200 years ago, I see all European wars were perpetually at war with each other. All European nations were constantly fighting each other.
Yes.
We haven't had a European war since 1945.
Those are the peaks and troughs that you're pointing to.
You wish to point.
You wish to.
France and Germany will never fight another war with each other.
Greg,
because
you wish to point to an era in time and compare that little snippet of history. You want to compare that snippet of history with this part of history, and then make an inference.
The so-called terrible
invasion about European countries not being at war. We've had 2 world wars started in Europe.
I'm saying in the last 60 years we've had no wars. That's the first time. That's the first time in recorded history.
But what he's just said, what we've done.
Name me another period. Name another period.
What changed?
Morality.
What?
We recognise now the stupidity of warfare.
Can I just give you one example, Greg?
Morality.
You know Dick Cheney.
Morality dictates now. The reason France and Germany don't fight each other is because it would be, in today's moral sense, it would be completely stupid.
No, it's nothing moral. It's about personal interests.
That's not about personal interests. It's about morality.
No, it's not about morality.
It is about morality.
It's not. Let me
morality.
You're ignoring
Greg. Let me hold on a second.
The reason Europe is at war is a peace of
What did they fight over?
Because of morality.
What did they fight over?
No.
Europe is at peace.
What did they fight over?
Who's invaded Iraq and all these other countries?
I'm talking about Europe. What I was saying.
So internally, the Europeans have decided not to fight each other.
Correct.
Okay. Right. Do you think it's morality?
Yes.
So why are they fighting other people?
Okay. Why
is there morality?
Okay.
Why is that not?
For example, why do they go to Iraq? I don't think that going to Iraq was a smart thing to do. But why do the Western people go to
Bosnia?
Iraq?
What happened in Bosnia?
In Bosnia,
No. Let him.
Muslims.
Let's stick to one
if you
point.
want to respond to Bosnia, Bosnia's a classic. In Bosnia, Muslims were being killed by Serbs. Right. The West interfered. Christian in 1994 or whatever.
How long did they interfere, and how did they interfere?
They bombed Milosevic.
Yeah.
No, but how long did they allow?
How many years did they allow the war to continue?
I don't know. What's the answer?
Okay. And furthermore.
So what I'm saying is, the West attacked another Western nation to stop the killing of Muslims.
Okay. Can I just deal with that point? Okay. Greg.
No, what about Srebrenica? That many Muslims were killed. It was a war crime. 5,000 or whatever it was were killed under the aegis, and the peacekeepers were watching and let it happen.
Right.
Because they didn't think they could interfere.
Greg.
And it was a war crime against Muslims.
Greg.
Absolutely.
Where's the morality?
It's
immoral.
It was totally moral. The West eventually was forced. That was Tony Blair, the great warmonger that you guys love to blame. Tony Blair forced Clinton to intervene and to start bombing Milosevic. He said, we cannot let this go on. Right? So you're having it both ways. You say, if the West interferes, yes you are.
Would you say invasion of Iraq is moral also?
Let me finish my point. You're saying if the West,
Hamza, just one second.
If the West intervenes in a country where Muslims are being oppressed,
you talk about European nations.
Hamza, 1 second.
Serbia is a country.
Greg, look, we really are going going all over the place with this discussion.
Fine. Well,
Look,
talk about morality.
hold on a second. Look, do the West sometimes involve themselves for the betterment of society and humanity? Of course they do. I was in Indonesia after the tsunami. I saw American warships handing out food to the Indonesians. Am I going to now say, oh no, America is evil, everything America does is evil? That's a stupid way of looking at things. They were dropping food parcels for the Indonesians. Now, so the issue here is, let's not deal with just snippets of slogans. No, but hold on a second,
You're
Greg.
making the point of morality, saying that we are not getting more moral.
Greg, all I'm saying to you is this.
No, you mentioned the thing
All I'm saying to you is this, Greg. Dick Cheney was asked on the London Tonight programme by Trevor McDonald as to the war in Iraq. Now, that's from the horse's mouth now, right? This is what Dick Cheney said. It is irrelevant as to why we attacked Iraq and went to war with Iraq. What is relevant is that it was in the American interests. We could not, hold on a second, let me finish his quote, and I quote, he said, we could not have a tyrant like Saddam Hussein controlling the largest untapped oil reserve in the world and hold America to ransom.